He wants to dance with you. Armenian dancing. Okay, Eric. Thank you.
In July of 1915, Henry Morgenthau, the U.S. ambassador to the Ottoman Empire, cabled the Department of State to warn that, quote, "A campaign of race extermination is in progress against the Ottoman Empire's Armenian citizens." By the time Morgenthau sent this cable, my great-grandfather Zorig had already been beheaded by Ottoman soldiers. Shortly thereafter, the rest of my family was exiled from the town of Amasya and sent on a death march towards the Syrian desert. Nearly 100 years later, I'm now back in Turkey to try and understand my family's past.
Okay, Eric. Give a wave to Graham.
When I was growing up, my grandmother Helen meant the world to me. She helped my parents raise me. She was at my house almost every day. She gave me my first piano and taught me Armenian songs on it. And she encouraged me to become a composer. She used to tell me stories about Amasya, the village she was from in Turkey. She told me about the big rock next to the river that ran through the center of the town, and her family's vineyards outside of town. She said it was the most beautiful place in the world, and that someday she wanted to take me there. She only really knew about Amasya, though, from pictures and stories from my great-grandmother Akhafni. Because when my grandmother was 40 days old, Ottoman soldiers deported her family and most of the Armenians in Amasya. Many Armenians died on this march from starvation and sickness, including my great-uncle. Others were raped and murdered by Ottoman soldiers. My great-aunt rescued my infant grandmother when Ottoman soldiers left her by the side of the road to die because she wouldn't stop crying. My family's deportation from Amasya was just one of many Armenian death marches happening across Turkey in 1915. Using World War I as a cover, the Ottoman government had started systematically deporting and executing their Armenian citizens, a Christian minority in this predominantly Turkic Muslim nation. Historians estimate that 1 to 1.5 million Armenians died between 1915 and 1923. It was the first genocide of the 20th century. Miraculously, most of my family survived and reached the United States. Although my grandmother changed her name from Hermina to Helen, she was still sure to teach her children and grandchildren about Armenian culture. She always longed to return to Amasya, but never did. When she died in 2004, I wrote a traditional four-movement piano trio called Voyage to Amasya. The piece uses Armenian melodies to commemorate her life and imagine a journey with her to Amasya, a trip we were never able to make together. Voyage to Amasya premiered at Carnegie Hall in 2005. My friend, filmmaker Randy Bell, was in the audience, and after he heard the piece, I convinced him we needed to make a real voyage to Amasya, returning to my family's home and then following their deportation route. We're now in Turkey, where we have to tread carefully because the Turkish government denies that the genocide actually happened and has made it illegal to talk publicly about it. Earlier in the year, an Armenian Turkish journalist was murdered by Turkish nationalists because he spoke up about Armenian issues. Despite these risks, and my parents' and my own misgivings, I'm determined to make this trip. On our journey, I hope to connect with my family's past, experience firsthand how this history continues to affect Turkish-Armenian relations, and perhaps even find an understanding between two peoples still at odds.
So have any of your family been back to Amasya?
No, nobody's been here. The only people who have been to Turkey in my family are a couple cousins of mine and my uncle, but they did not come to Amasya. They stayed in Istanbul. My cousin really had a horrible reaction to the country and to the food and to the people. He said that all the food tasted like dirt and he felt ill the whole time he was here. But he admits that it's a mental thing, that all this fear and anger and sorrow that's been passed down just was too much for him to actually experience it and to be in the same place as where, our ancestors were persecuted.
And what does it feel like on your way to Amasya?
It's unbelievable to think that I'm actually going to be in the village that my great-grandparents and grandparents were here. To really think that, I may be walking the same streets as my great-grandmother did, that I could find the church where my grandmother was baptized in. I guess I still feel a little nerves. I still feel a little cautious in that I don't want to cause a problem or make people upset by the fact that I'm Armenian, but I'm very proud of the fact that we're here and that we're doing what we're doing.
My father is an Armenian, my mother is a Jew. I know a lot of sad stories that my father's grandmother and grandfather told us. I know lots of them, but I feel not the hatred or this bad feeling about Turkish people, because actually I'm not a Turk, okay, but I'm one of them because I live here.
Is it naive of us to think we'll be able to get anyone to answer any sort of questions about, 1915 or Armenians living in Amasya?
We should choose the right people to ask. I mean, some people are so resistant to this event that, they might do anything. I don't know, but they can get dangerous.
Late in her life, my grandmother's sister Takwi recorded her recollections of Amasya and the exile, and my family has since transcribed her description. In the document, she sketched what she remembered of our family's house. This gives us something concrete to search for. My great-aunt remembered that their house had a large fireplace in the living room, a beautiful mahogany table, and a large blue oriental rug. She practiced violin in the living room and took lessons at a music school in town.
Even if this wasn't the area, it must have sort of looked like this, you know?
It really must have. These houses with the 2 stories, the windows looking out on the mountain and on the river.
We know that Armenians have been here since the 3rd century BC, and by the time my great-grandparents were living here, Armenians made up about 1/3 of the city's residents. Though the spelling of Amasya has changed, and to this day Turks spell Amasya with a Y, and Armenians with an I, the name of the town itself has been remarkably stable for millennia.
So wait, I gotta dial a plus?
Plus, yeah, plus one.
Plus 1.
Hello? I'm good, how are you? Yeah, we don't have internet in the hotel we're in, so I just wanted to let you know that we're in Amasya. It's beautiful, Mom. It's absolutely beautiful. There's the big rock is just how, you know, Graham described it in that picture, and the river runs right through the city. Yeah, give Dad a call. I just wanted to touch base with you and let you know that I'm here, and it feels wonderful. Love you too. Bye-bye.
How'd she sound?
She was crying a little bit, but she was very happy that I called, so I think she's really happy for me. She's probably a little jealous too, but she wanted to make sure I was safe, so it's good.
Şimdi şu köşeden, o dediğim yerden Meydan Taks'tan yukarı o işte dediğimiz şahısların yaşadığı, Ermenilerin yoğun olarak yaşadığı mahalle bu mahalle.
Ha, orası mı?
Bu mahalle, onu tarif ettim. Bunun da şimdi
This
bu
is
yol
Armenian neighborhood.
yol açıldığı için
Hı.
buradaki mahalleyi üstten aşağıya koparmış.
Kolay gelsin.
Sağ olun, hoş geldiniz.
Hoş bulduk. Ya şey soracağız, buraların eskisini bilen birileri var mıdır? Siz eski halini biliyor musunuz buraların hiç?
Nasıl? Yok, ben sonradan geldik de.
Ha.
Acaba şu Makbule teyze eskiden gelmiş. Ona sorabilir miyiz?
Ha, soralım.
Tamam. Siz eski şeyleri mi
Ha,
araştırıyorsunuz?
biraz öyle.
Tamam.
She doesn't know, but there's an old woman there, so.
Makbule teyze.
Burada eskiden galiba
Yerleşen
Ermeniler
oldu.
yaşıyormuş, öyle mi? Ermeniler yaşıyormuş
Evet,
galiba.
tabii ki hepimizin evlerinde Ermenileri, buralarda eskiden Ermenilerin evleriymiş.
Aha.
Mesela benim kayınvalidemin durduğu yer kaç senelik, hatta Ermenilerin eviymiş yani. Yeri bile belli de değiştirdiler. Tabii ki tamir falan yapıldı. Eski yerler kapandı içeriden ama dıştan yasak yani zaten.
Ha, anladım. Ama bir şekilde yok artık. Ermeni kimse yok,
Yok
herhalde
canım,
burada.
hayır, yok öyle bir şey yok.
Ha. Yani
Ama
buraya
bunun
gelecekleri
annesi
belli
burada olduğuna
oldu.
göre bu da Türk oluyor değil mi?
Yani daha çok Ermeni oluyor aslında işte. Yani tam Türkiye'li değil de daha Ermeni diyebiliriz yani.
Annesi ama bu mahallede mi oturmuş?
Buralıymış herhalde.
Amasya'da.
Yani.
Ben senin annenin buralı sandım.
Ha yok onun anneannesi buralı. Biz İstanbul'dayız bayağı bir ya. Sonra Amerika'ya gitmişler işte.
Öyle olabilir de Koy Hanım.
Hı.
Ben de senin annenin buralı da iyi, bu da bizden sayılıyor. Anneniz burada nasıl gider oraya yanına?
Yani.
Gel yani.
Oh, he's from us, from us.
My grandmother, yeah.
O diyor ki anneannem tabii ben de öyleyim. Kusura bakmayın.
Ha, burası Ermenilerin eviymiş eskiden. Hatta tavanı falan süsleme, eskitme modelmiş. Ha şimdi çekim yapabilirsiniz. Kapılar bile baksana, kapıları bile hiç değiştirmediler çünkü burası yasak. Bu ev yani yıkılmak üzere o da olsa adam içinden tamir etti. Baksana burada komşum benim bunlar.
She says go upstairs and there's a guy in there who's an older guy, then talk to him and then come back and then we can see how the bread is made.
Ama yarım saat içinde tabii ki mutlaka geleceksiniz. Bir daha odunu ateşe pişirip ya ocağı içine atacağız yani.
In the left building, they said two guys, Hulusi and Gökçe. So Hulusi and Gökçe are friends. Now we're looking for Mr. Gökçe here.
The events of 1915 have recently been in the spotlight here in Turkey. For the past few months, Turks have been protesting a resolution the U.S. Congress is considering that formally recognizes the Armenian Genocide. Because of the resolution, Ankara pulled its ambassador from Washington. Congress takes up resolutions like this every few years, but never passes them because Turkey's been a U.S. ally since the Cold War. This climate makes me even more nervous about asking questions about 1915 and my family's past.
Let's see. Merhabalar. Biz Gökçe Bey'i arıyorduk ama siz misiniz?
Gökçe Bey hayırdır ki?
Ya aşağıdan geliyoruz, şu sokağa dolaşıp geldik. İşte buranın eskilerini bir Hulusi Bey bir de Gökçe Bey bilir dediler. Arkadaşlar Amerikalılar.
Ya gel bakalım içeri gel. Gel. Gel buyurun. Hoş geldin.
Eric.
Hoş geldin. Hoş geldin. Merhaba canım.
Hoş bulduk.
Buyurun oturun. Şimdi bu gezişin sonucu ne oluyor? Niçin yani geziyorsun?
İşte şeyi söyleyeceğim, onu anlatayım birazcık size. Arkadaşın anneannesi Amasyalıymış aslında.
Allah Allah. Ha, bir dakika öğrenelim. Tamam.
Amasyalıymış, Ermeniymiş.
Kaç yıllarında gitmişler?
1915, right? She left.
30 var mı?
1915'te gitmişler.
Ha, 15'te onu bilemem.
Bilemem.
Kebapyan, hiç kebapyan biliyor
Kebapyan
musunuz?
böyle isimler duyduk da biz tanımayız.
1947 yılında bizim buraya gelmemizden beraber çevremizde bir hayli Ermeni arkadaşlarımız vardı. Ermenilerine bizim hiçbir sorunumuz yok.
Biz kardeş gibi geçiniyorduk onlarla ya. Bunlar aramızı bozacaklar ya Amerikanlar. Yürürlüğe girmeyecek herhalde. Geri dönecek. Amerika'nın çok zararı olacak eğer böyle bir şey olursa. Çünkü çok dostluğumuz var. Hiç yok yere 90 senelik işi bugün ileri sürmek. Sen bana şöyle dedin, 90 yıl olmuş.
Tesadüfen Türkiye'ye gelirse bir de Amerika'ya, Amasya'ya gelirse bu kapı ona açık, gelsin, misafirimizdir.
Teşekkürler.
Gördün mü? Bizde öyle şey yok yavrum. Biz
Bunu muhatap oluyoruz, siz de gelebilirsiniz. Yani. Onu da söyle yani.
o da Amerikalı değil. Ya 5 kuruş verme. Ben senin parana puluna buraya gelmiş değilim.
Lütfen.
Allah'a gelmiş değilim. Hadi ısmarladık. Hadi.
Teşekkür ederiz.
Allah dileğinizi kabul etsin.
Amin,
İnşallah. Hadi bakalım.
İnşallah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Eşinize selamlar. Teşekkür ederiz. Sağ ol, eline sağlık.
1915 olayları hakkında ne düşündüğünüzü sordu. Yani sizce hani Türk hükümeti bir şey yapmalı mı ya da Türkiye'li insanlar hani sonuçta Ermenistan'la Amerika karışmalı mı karışmamalı mı ne bileyim.
Şimdi efendim,
Tabii ki karışmamalı. Bence tarihimiz açık bizim yani. Oradan incelemeleri lazım.
Ermenistan bazı grupları, bazı devletleri arkasına alarak kendine güç olarak alıyor ve onlardan güç alarak bize hücum etmeye bazı gayrimeşru, bazı tuhaf istekleri üzerine buraya hücum etmeye kalkıyor. Ama olmaz bu. Olmayacak bu. Diyoruz ya gelin En eski arşiv bizde. Gelin bakın ya diyorum. Bu değişiklik falan yok bunda. Gelin bakın, inceleyin, görün. Bunları tarihçilere bırakalım. Gelin bakın, işin doğrusunu göreceksiniz. Meramınız ne sizin?
Peki sizce bu ilişkiler nasıl güzelleşecek? Nasıl hani tekrar...
Yani bizim ilişkilerimiz yine hep iyi. İnan benim komşularım hep biz diyorum ya biz bayramlarda gidiyorduk. Yani şimdi Ermeni arkadaşlarımızla yine görüşüyoruz. Bayramlarımızda onlar açarlar bizi. Biz de onların bayramında açarız.
Var mı yani burada Ermeni birileri?
Şimdi şu
Telefon
anda
açıyorsunuz.
yok. Telefonla İstanbul'dalar hepsi.
Efendim ülkelerin yakınlaşması için Ermenilerin biraz
Yani bu kadar
daha uyumlu hareket
böyle
etmesi
tarihleri incelesinler madem öyle.
How does somebody like myself, who my grandmother told me these same stories of, that were very bad and, that she was persecuted and left by the side of the road, how do I today come to terms with that when, if there's no recognition of it?
3-5 tane böyle bir şey olmuşsa bunu
Ya.
çoğunluğa almamak lazım yani. Onu demek istiyorum yani. Ama olmamış demiyorum
Ya
yani.
işte hani o da diyor ki ben acaba bunu nasıl hani birileri kabul etmezse bunun olduğunu ben ne bileyim nasıl böyle kendimi iyi hissedeyim falan gibi bir şeyler söylüyor.
Şimdi şu anda diyecek ki Türkiye'ye ben gidip yerleşeceğim. Efendim yatağını, yorganını, eşyasını toplayıp gelip Türkiye'de güzelce gül gibi yaşayacak. Hiçbir korkusu yok. Hiçbir şey yok. Yani olaylar onu ürkütmesin yani. Gayet güzel. Ama kişi olarak bizlerin birbirimizden sorunumuz yok. Bizim sorunumuz yok da bizim sorun.
We don't have a problem.
Oh, no.
Onun da yok yani.
No problem. I could tell he was pretty passionate about it, and I didn't want to start an argument, especially since I don't speak the language.
But I didn't even want to start an argument because I mean he's old, so
He's old, and so he believes what he believes.
some kind of resistance. I mean he has some kind of resistance.
You could tell
so-
he got a little angry
Yeah.
when it was brought up. It was a little frustrating to hear that, the Armenian government's being resistant and not opening their history books when in reality it's the Turkish government that's not opening their history books or erasing their history books. And
It's about mass media actually here in Turkey.
it's really the propaganda.
Yeah.
For all his warmth and hospitality, Mr. Gökçe essentially denied my family's history. He was simply repeating the Turkish government's standard response to anyone who discusses the Armenian Genocide. The official stance of the Turkish Foreign Ministry is, quote, "Past events in controversial periods of history should be left to the historians for their dispassionate study and evaluation." But the events of 1915 are not a matter of historical debate. Nearly all historians agree that the Ottoman massacre of the Armenians was a genocide. In fact, in 1919, the Ottoman government convicted a number of the perpetrators for acting, quote, "against humanity and civilization." The Armenian Genocide happened. The Turkish government is dodging the issue and misleading its citizens.
Ekmeği yapıyorlar mı diye bir bakalım dedik ama.
Hadi kız kaçın her oradan. Hiçbir şey görmedi kız sanki. Adam değil. Ay ben Meri. Tabii öğrenecek. Her gün koskoca her lafı biliyorlar da. Onu bilmiyorlar. İkisi de öğrenecek hem de. Ben bu umarım yarın yok. Onu sürmeyi bilmiyorum da sizlerim ameliyatlı bir de. Sen burayı sen açsana şöyle koy şu tarafa ortaya koy. Öyle nasıl koyayım? Hadi bir tane çok koyun. Size kalkınmasın.
This family reminds me so much of my own family. How my mother, grandmother, and great aunt all interact.
Gülümseyedi sanki müziğe gidecek. Oradan gülecek işte miyim? Hiç uzatsana ya. Gül diyor da nasıl güleyim bu yol onun hali bu. Seni onlara.
Oh, wow.
Bak gördün mü? Hatta çay gözü acıkmıyor. Sineğe bağla. Nasıl?
Other minority populations in Turkey, including Greeks and Kurds, have also faced persecution. Some Kurds have started a separatist movement based in northern Iraq, and the Turkish army is preparing to attack them. These military preparations and the ongoing debate about the genocide resolution have ratcheted up Turkish nationalism to some of the highest levels in years. What the Turks I meet don't know is that my father's an advocate for Armenian issues in the United States, and he's partially responsible for the resolution in front of the U.S. Congress right now. My mother worries that he's making our trip more dangerous by exacerbating the tensions while we're visiting. Earlier in the year, Armenian-Turkish journalist Confronting was murdered by a 17-year-old Turkish nationalist because of his outspoken views on Armenian issues. After his death, however, 200,000 Turkish mourners marched in protest of the assassination, chanting, "We are all Armenians. We are all Confronting." I'm only beginning to understand these rifts in Turkish society and politics. Many Armenian Americans, including myself until this trip, see Turkey exclusively as an inhospitable and dangerous place for Armenians. It's clearly more complicated than that. We can't find any Armenians in Amasya. Sibel's father suggested that a few might be living nearby in a village named Gümüşhacıköy.
Merhabalar.
Merhaba yavrum.
Ya ben İstanbul'dan geliyorum da arkadaşlar da Amerika'dan geliyor. Ondan sonra böyle belgesel gibi bir şey çekiyorlar falan. Arkadaşın anneannesi Amasyalıymış.
Evet.
Ondan sonra 1915'ten sonra işte Amerika'ya gitmişler falan filan. Amasya'da hiç böyle Ermeni aile var mı falan diye biz aradık. Kimseyi bulamadık. Benim babam da Amasya'da askerliği yapmış, dedi ki Gümüşhacıköy'e gidin. Oradakileri bulun. Hani buyurun. Sorduk biz de, siz var mısınız?
Buyurun da şimdi babamız da çarşıya gitti ama.
Kaç kişi var aşağı yukarı biliyor musunuz? Kaç?
Burada mı?
Ha.
10 kişi çıkmaz. Yani
maybe
2,
10
4,
people.
6 anca yani öyle.
Actually
Ama benim de kızım, oğlum, mesela gelinim, torunlarım hep İstanbul'da oturuyor ama oğlumun işi burada. O gitmedi. O biraz sevmiyor İstanbul'u. Bir
Would you
şeyler
like to
sormak
ask
istiyorlar mı?
something about 1915?
Sure. Yeah, sure. If any of her friends or relatives were around then, or did they experience it? What do they remember?
Annemgil anlatırdı yani olanları. Tabii kesmişler, toplamışlar, götürmüşler, kiliselere doldurmuşlar. Genç olanları bütün seçmişler. Tabii ki Türkler onları seçmiş, almış. Şimdi yaşlıları kesti, gençleri hepsini. Ben dedim ki o zaman onları seçtik. Bütün yani Türkiye'nin içinde dedim, kanı Ermeni olan kişiler var. Çünkü biliyoruz, daha çoğunu da tanıyorum yani. Etrafımızda da var. Akrabalarımızdan da var. Daha kökü soyu Ermeni olup da. Tabii. Çocukları artık tabii şimdi ne yapsın? Herkes olan olmuş, yıkmışlar, kırmışlar. Kalan da şimdi zararı yok. Şimdi yani biz ilişkilerimiz iyi. Bizim şimdi hiçbir sorunumuz da yok. Yani bize karşı dürüstler. Ama içlerinde tabii ki kötüsü de olabiliyor. Olmaz değil bir şey yok.
Do they identify as Armenian, Turk, nothing, Gümüşhacıköy?
Bize mi? Biz Ermeni biliyoruz. Biz hiç yani onu biliyor da biz Ermeni değil biliyorlar. Herkes Ermeni. Biz öyle değil. Evvel Savhiyet'te kesilince insanlar hani o zaman gelmişler, demişler ki Türk olan kalacak, Ermeni olan gidecek. Giden gitmiş, kalmayan Türk olmuş, kalmış.
Öldürmüşler çoğunu.
Kalınca
öldürdüler.
onları şimdi
Yayamın kardeşi
herkes,
Türkçe konuşuyor ama alınıyor.
Are they aware of the U.S. resolution? Do they want anything to happen? Should it be called genocide?
Ama biz burada nasıl diyelim ki?
Yaşamadık çünkü bir de.
Hayır yaşamadık, yaşananı biliyoruz ama demeden bak bir tane aydın bir kişi vardı mesela Hrant Dink. Öldürttürdüler. Bunu sen öteki dese nasıl ne derler? Yaparlar yine yapacaklarını ama gerçi bizimle ilişkileri iyi. Sen iyisin o da iyi. Yoksa. Olmuşu da kabul etmiyor ki soygulumu kabul etsin. Olmuşu kabul etmiyor ki.
She says that they don't, I mean, some of the Turks, they don't even accept the events, not the genocide, I mean, the term genocide. So first they have to admit that something happened. And
Bir çay içer misiniz?
tea, would you like?
What can we do to make things better between the Armenians and the Turks?
Vallahi gittikçe
Vallahi
zehirliyorlar
onlar
yani,
şimdi-
şey yapıyorlar.
Ama bizimle bir şeyleri yok. Yani bak bizim dükkanımız var çarşıda.
Ha, manifatura dükkanı.
Manifatura dükkanımız
They
var.
have a store.
Bizim hiç yani Türkiye gelmezler gavura gidek derler. Çünkü diyorlar ki
Doğru olduklarını
gavur doğru olur diyorlar. Gavur doğru olur diyorlar.
Merhabalar.
Hoş geldin.
Anne bunlar da araştırmacı. Bunlar da araştırmacı bize. Ermeni. Araştırmacı otur. Bak ben nakış yapardım. Burada Ermeniler hep böyle beyazından yapardık. Böyle renkliyle yapardık. Herkes hep sanatkarıdık yani.
Oo, çok güzelmiş.
Şal.
Şal. Ha. Çok güzel.
Yapıyordu yani Ermeniler çok marifetliydi.
Türkler yapmıyor mu?
Türkler de yapıyor. Şimdi artık onlar da yapıyor.
Şey oldular,
Artık onlar şimdi bizden göre her şeyi de yapıyorlardı.
her şeyi Ermeni'den öğrendiler eskiden. Şimdi kendiler bizi geçtiler.
For me, my grandmother, I was told the story that she was left by the side of the road by the Turkish soldiers, and that her land and her home were taken and burned, and so that makes me angry. But when I see them, how happy they are here, it makes me want to be here and be a part of this. How can the American Armenians see what's going on here, and that it's really the governments and not the people?
Şimdi eğer onu kızım hiç durmadan etsen zaten tetik üstündeler. Şimdi yapsan yine seninle kötü olurlar. Yani onların dostluğuna da güvenilmez. Güvenilmeyi.
Ermenilerin gitmiş olması sizi üzüyor mu diye soruyor.
Tabii bizim burası Ermenistan gibiydi. Bağlarımız vardı ki nasıl?
Like Armenia
Böyle
here. Yeah, of
çünkü
course.
Bir dakika.
bağa gitseydik, bağa şu pazar günü buradan yola kadar herkes, çünkü Ermeniler sanatkar, müzik, yeme, içme seven insanlarıydı. Türkler öyle işleri bilmez idi. Öyle gittiği zaman şimdi millet bağın yolu görülmezdi insandan, arabadan, affedersin paytondan. Ama şimdi tabii hep öldü. Ermeni gitti, işte bitti diyorlar.
This is the Armenian cemetery in Gümüşhacıköy. In the summer, it's used as a field for grazing cows. While we're there, the police stop us to find out what we're doing. My father warned me that his Armenian friend had his camera confiscated by Turkish authorities. I'm worried this might be the end of our trip.
Apparently, somebody from the stores called the police and told them that there are some tourists walking around with a camera. So they came to check us. I told them that Eric's grandma is from Amasya, but I didn't tell them about the Armenian things or genocide thing. But I guess he got the idea because we were, hanging around with Zabel, and we were on the Armenian cemetery, so it's not that hard to get it. But I don't think that he's a stupid guy either. And he said that we're just here to check you. That nothing bad happen to you. I mean, you don't know these townspeople, so they might hurt you or harass you or anything. So we're here to protect you as all policemen's job.
What was Zabel so upset about?
She was upset that somebody made that call, that we were, wandering around. She was upset about it because she said that the policeman knows them.
A number of Byzantine churches in Amasya have been converted to mosques. There were at least 3 Armenian churches in Amasya before the genocide, and we wonder if they were also converted, and we might be able to find the one where my grandmother was baptized. My great-aunt Takwi told the story of my grandmother's baptism and the closing of the last Armenian church in Amasya. My mother reads my great-aunt's words.
My mother was alone when she went into labor. A neighbor, fortunately, rushed over to help with the delivery of the beautiful baby girl, Helen. When my brother Sarkis and I arrived home, we saw the baby and took her to be baptized immediately. 2 of the 3 Armenian churches had already been boarded up. St. Nicholas, the only remaining open church, was the farthest away on the other side of the river. We arrived hastily just as the Turks were closing the doors. Luckily, the priest was also there, and the soldiers allowed the priest to perform the baptismal ceremony. The priest was forced to hurry, and knowing that the church would not be reopened, used the remainder of the holy water he had on my sister Helen.
While looking for Armenian churches, we come across an impromptu concert at a conservatory in town. There's a version of this song in Armenian with the exact same melody. It's one of the songs my grandmother taught me growing up. Music like this reminds me of her and continues to influence my composition. I'd like to think that, with my family's musical background, 100 years ago they would have participated in concerts like this. This might even be the school where my great-aunt learned violin. We're introduced to an architect who's also a historian of the city. We hope he can help us find my family's house.
This is now the town with the neighborhoods, and those dark colors shows old neighborhoods.
My grandmother's house. No address, no nothing, but
where?
We think the Armenian village.
Where, in Amasya?
In Amasya.
Yeah, just a moment. You know it's in Amasya?
Amasya, yes.
You know this?
Yes.
Okay. We must talk step by step.
Yeah.
This is Armenian. One here, here, and there. Oh. And also here. Now
this was the part that burned, yeah?
That's right. Does she said that? She doesn't know.
She doesn't know.
Burned on. Yeah.
She was so young, too.
This is more older. This house is older. This is at the beginning, at the last part of the 19th century. This is before.
Before early 19th century?
Yeah. This is wonderful house.
You don't know which ones are Armenian and which ones are Ottoman, do you?
Yeah, no, just there are the neighborhoods. This part is, there are Armenians. There were. You can say that this house. This is the area, but also there are some Muslim. They are together, but somewhere they are mostly. Bence onların böyle bir ev bulma ihtimalleri gerekiyor. Ama şu var, işte böyle bir yerde, işte söylüyorum ya, burası aynı, bozulmamış şu sokak. Bu sokak bozulmamış. İşte burada gezmişler ataları. O da gezecek, o kadar yani, başka bir şey yok. Yoksa ev bulunmaz yani, mümkün değil.
He says that you have no chance to find the actual house, but these are the streets that your ancestors walked, and you just have the chance to walk in the same street.
I'm kind of overwhelmed to think that my ancestors and my great-grandmother and great-grandfather, and I guess even my grandmother, were walking on these streets, and that maybe these buildings that we found that might be churches was possibly where my grandmother was baptized. It's a real sense of, I don't know, I feel very rooted here. I feel very, very much like I have found something. It's not her house, it's not maybe the church, but they were definitely here. And that makes me feel just overwhelmed, really. I mean, this could have been my home, and it's really beautiful here. I think I would have liked living here. I really wish I could have come here with my grandmother. She, I think she would have loved it here. I can see why my great-grandparents settled here and what they saw that was so beautiful, and I feel really bad that my grandmother had to leave here so young.
When my grandmother was 40 days old, she and her family were exiled from Amasya and forced to walk south towards the Syrian desert. They spent 3 months on the road. These are my great-aunt's words.
Many Armenians died on the road from sickness. Others were killed, and some young girls were taken to become the wives of Turkish men who came to look them over. The Turks tried to take Helen, But Sarkis and I refused to allow our baby sister to be given away, as we knew without a doubt she would never be seen again. Every now and then about 24 Turkish soldiers would invade the group of Armenians in the middle of the night. They would look around for young girls or money. The Turks would take some of the old men and march them about 50 or 100 feet away and either shoot them or behead them. If anyone screamed, they would go back and kill more. Thousands of bodies were left to decay. Sometimes the bodies had to be moved at night to allow room for the people to lie down to sleep when they were allowed to rest. One night in November, about 3,000 Armenians were huddled together without bedding, covers, food, or water. The Turkish soldiers who were guarding the people went among them and said, "Tonight, there'll be a lot of excitement." A half hour later, everyone heard soldiers who were riding horses shooting into the crowd at random. Everyone scattered, running for his life. My mother was carrying Helen and had become exhausted. A young boy saw that she was tired and took Helen from my mother's arms and placed her on his back. The shooting continued for many hours, and it didn't stop until the soldiers ran out of ammunition. I met my mother as we ran from the soldiers. Sarkis was missing for over an hour, but he was also found. Another person recognized Helen and guided the boy who had taken her back to our family.
In December 1915, Achafni and her family reached a bridge called 40 Eyes. Naked, decaying corpses were strewn across the dried-up riverbed. Takwi describes this in her own words.
Outside the Malatya, there was a dry river and like bridge on it. It had 40 things from one side to the other. Stands. 40 stands under it? Under yeah, where the water goes through. Yeah. So that's why they call that place 40 Eyes. That's good. That's Turkish. That's good. So we stayed there about a week. And little by little, they used to bring more people every day from all around, maybe 150, 200, maybe later, another 300. We were there about, maybe I said, we'll get constant people.
Now, Kirkuz is underwater. The river was dammed in the 1970s, and this mass grave is 30 feet below the surface of the Sultan Suyu Dam Lake. My family survived Fortias and were then taken to Farinju, where there was promise of a source of water.
I mean, this is village. Women are shy here. So if they don't answer, don't take it personally. Hani buralara dair bir şey biliyor musunuz falan filan diye. Ya biz bir ara galiba yani 1915-16'larda falan burada sanırım Ermeniler yaşamış. Hiç duydunuz mu, biliyor musunuz?
Ermeniler yaşaması şudur. Burada Kahta'ya götürürler. Burada bir duraklama, bir han. Bu duraklamadan sonra o tarafa gidiyordu. Burada durmuyordu.
İşte bu çeşmeden dolayı halk buraya göçmüş. Şu büyük çeşme var ya.
Şu?
He, orası. Şimdi kurudu, o zamanlar bayağı geliyordu. He, o zaman bayağı çok geliyordu. Bir de bu küçük çeşme vardı. İşte o halk oradan buraya göç etmiş. Yerleşmiş. O yani buraya yerleşim olmuş.
That's it.
İşte bu çeşme.
Farinju is predominantly Kurdish, and though many Kurdish militias were used by the Ottomans against the Armenians during the genocide, now most Kurdish groups acknowledge that the genocide happened and have apologized for Kurdish actions.
I mean, if this was the old village, then this is probably where they were just left to die.
In Farinju, Ottoman soldiers discovered that my great-grandmother was a seamstress. Instead of forcing her and her family to continue walking south, the soldiers brought them a few miles away to Malatya, where my great-grandmother repaired uniforms in exchange for her family's safety. In Malatya, my grandmother cried for the milk her mother could not provide because of weakness from the exile march. Because of her crying, Ottoman soldiers took her and left her by the side of the road. That night, her older siblings rescued their baby sister, wrapped her up, and used a piece of candy as a pacifier so she wouldn't cry. This story, more than any other, haunted me growing up and crystallized the horror of the genocide. I wish I could get the Turks to understand that, even though this happened in the past, it's still very present in my life and in the lives of so many Armenians. My family still regularly wonders what my great-grandfather Zorik looked like. We don't have a picture of him, and all we know is that he looked like his brother, Nishan. My great-grandmother worked in Malatya out of a converted mansion that had once been an orphanage. Though we spoke with many people and saw many old houses, no one could positively identify any particular house as an orphanage. The woman who lived at this house told us it was over 200 years old. We find a deserted Armenian church in Malatya. The roof has been blown off and a tree grows inside it. The Armenian cemetery here is still maintained, though almost no one visits it. Hrant Dink was from Malatya, but like him, most Armenians have moved to Istanbul. The remaining few Armenians don't want to be identified on film.
Çarşıda falan kimseyi bulur muyuz? Birilerine sorsak bilen olur mu, biliyor musunuz?
Ya buranın tarihini bilmiyorum yani, zor.
Yok, ya Ermenileri bulabilir miyiz diyorum.
Vardır da kendileri Ermeni olarak
saklarlar mı?
Deşifre etmek istemiyor. Ortalıkta şey diyor.
Ya şey diyor, hani işte durumlar karışık, insanlar saklıyor falan dediniz ya. Hani sizce niye karışık durumlar, niye hani böyle bir şey var?
Yani bak O bir tane tilmen öldürüldü de buraya getirdi gömdüler.
Kim öldürdü?
Burada 3 kişi kestiler de.
Ha, misyoner.
Ha, misyonerler.
Aha.
Mesela birisini getirdi buraya gömdüler. Hiçbir Ermeni gelmedi onunla birlikte. Her taraf polisti çünkü.
Ha,
Yani
korktular mı?
kendilerini teşhir etmesinler diye herhalde.
Ha, o misyoner cinayetlerinden sonra.
Yani polis de sürekli geliyor gidiyor.
Ha, geliyor mu?
Kontrol ediyor mezarı.
Anladım.
Bir yere biz gitmiyoruz mesela. Hiçbir yere gitmiyoruz. Sürekli burada. İşte.
Nerede? Görebilir miyiz şimdi?
Şu ileride zaten düz torpak bir şey. Yakın orada.
See very faintly across. Looks like his name is written here, but it's so faint I can't read it.
We're not sure who to speak with in Malatya, but we find a local tour guide who seems willing to talk.
Do you think that the Turkish government should remember so that those types of events don't happen again? Horrible bad things and...
Yes, I understand you what you mean. Turkish government wants to forget everything at the past. Turkish government wants to live together with the people happily.
Do you think
We don't want to remember the past, what's happened at the past. Because as you know, look at the history, you can see many countries made many big mistakes. German killed many Jewish people.
Right.
Still, America killing many Iraq people. Everybody doing many bad things. Yes, maybe we made bad things. But if somebody attack you, if you made a problem to you, you must keep yourself. That's life. Why Armenian people making problem to us? You did this. We say you did this. Because of that, we have got a problem with the Armenian people.
Like with the Jews,
Yes.
you know, and the Germans,
yes,
it's everyone knows that
Yes.
that happens. So
Yes, yes,
they
indeed.
hope that that
Yes.
doesn't happen anymore.
Yes, yes.
Do we think that the Turkish government should at all recognize what happened, or
Yes, my friend, I know, I read the history. German government made a big mistake. It's not human.
Right.
Because they took all the Jewish people, keep in the oven. It's not right. But in Turkey, no, just war. Just war. You have an enemy, and then they shoot you, you shoot them. It's normal war. It was a normal war.
What's not being said is that in preparing his war plans in 1939, Hitler asked rhetorically, who, after all, speaks today of the annihilation of the Armenians?
Burası değil mi?
Evet, düzgün.
Şimdi o kilise Ermeni kilisesi miymiş,
Evet,
biliyor musunuz?
Ermeni kilisesi.
Peki...
Zaten bizim köy Ermenilerden kalma yani o satın almış.
Aa, öyle mi?
Hı, bizimkiler satın almış.
Ta burası Ermeni yerleşim bölgesiymiş
Öyleymiş.
eskiden.
Ama kimse kalmamış galiba.
Yok işte biz var, kimse yok.
Siz burada mı yaşıyorsunuz? Yani Ermeni falan tanıyor musunuz? Var mı tanıdığınız biri?
Vardı da döndüler yani.
Döndüler.
Tamam. Yok şu an yok.
Anladım. Çok sağ olun.
Siz de sağ olun.
Does he know when the church stopped being used?
Kilise ne zamandan beri kullanılmıyor biliyor musunuz?
Biz Malatya'dan beri kullanmıyor. Yani oldu bitti böyle. Harabe kullanmıyor.
Yani çocukluğunuzdan beri
Tabii
böyle
yok.
yani.
Kullanmıyor. Kimse yok.
Peki ne zaman yapıldığı hakkında fikriniz var mı?
Vallahi işte Hristiyanların bir aşı ya. Bu bizim değil. Tarihi bir eser işte. Şimdi burada tarihi eser diye bakıyoruz. Yani başka bir şey yok.
In 1919, Akhavni received a letter from her late husband's brother Nishan, who had already escaped to America. He had learned that Akhavni and some of her children had survived the exile, and so he sent them a $25 check, saying that he would send the rest of the money for her family to get to the United States if they could get to Constantinople. A soldier whose family's clothes Akhavni repaired provided her family and a number of other Armenians safe passage out of Malatya, so they packed up their few remaining possessions and left. They first returned to Amasya to see if they could recover any of their belongings, but they found a Turkish family living in their former house, so they made their way to Constantinople.
As we're headed towards Istanbul, I'm really excited because I think that it's, after being in these remote places, heading to a big city will be a nice change of pace, but it'll also, for me anyway, be a symbol of their freedom. I mean, they were able to escape from Istanbul, and, after seeing the past couple of days of such tragedy, to finally head to a place where they were able to escape and was their exit point, where they were able to start a new life and where the subsequent generations happened in America, and explains why I'm here. When we went to the museum or when we'd ask for directions, I could tell people were looking at me like I was Turkish. They assumed that I was just Turkish. And I think before we came here, I thought about that. I thought, I wonder if people are going to think I'm Turkish. And I kind of got offended at that. And I couldn't really explain what that feeling, but I was like, well, I don't want to be Turkish. I'm Armenian, and I feel so strongly about that. And as the trip went on, I felt it was almost good to identify, to break down the barrier of Turkish Armenian and just have it be Anatolian people.
That guy was just going the wrong way down a one-way road, right?
I think so.
That was really scary for a second.
It's pretty scary.
Sorry.
Traditionally, Armenians played an important role in the civic life of Constantinople. They were traders and architects and advised the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire. By the middle of the 19th century, approximately a quarter of the city's 890,000 residents were Armenian. However, the Armenian Genocide also began here. On April 24, 1915, the Ottoman government arrested and executed 250 of Constantinople's Armenian intellectuals and community leaders. Akhavni and her 3 children left for the United States from Constantinople. But not all Armenians left. Now, Istanbul has approximately 60,000 Armenian residents and over 30 functioning Armenian churches and schools.
Yani Amasyalıyım. Orada ticaretle uğraşıyorduk, manifaturacılık yapıyorduk. Bağımız vardı, tarlamız vardı, bahçemiz vardı, evimiz vardı. Yani hepsi vardı, dostlarımız vardı.
Evet. Cemaat Şeyde ibadetini nerede yapardı?
Cemaat ibadeti yok ki, kilise olmayan yerde ne yapacak?
Kilise yoktu, hiç yoktu.
Şeyden, İstanbul'dan papazlar gelirdi. Papaz gelirdi.
O
Orada,
şekilde.
evet, Yervan Ahoranyan diye bir abimiz vardı orada. Onun evine gelirdi. İşte cemaate haber verdi ki papaz geldi İstanbul'dan. Gınık olacak, bısak olacaklar, gelirlerdi oraya. İşte orada o şekilde ya olurdu.
Niye İstanbul'a geldiniz falan? Bir de ne zamandı?
Şimdi niye İstanbul'a geldi ki? Nüfus kalmayınca, çekilince kız var, evlendirecek işte. Oğlan var. Kardeşim burada okumuştu, kimya mühendisi olmuştu. İşte herkes çekilince işte o şekilde geldik yani. Başka bir şey yok yani. Yani bir rahatsızlıktan dolayı, herhangi bir şeyden dolayı değil yani. Bugün gitsem Amasya'da bir komşumun evine gider yatarım. Öyle söyleyeyim yani size.
915'te aileniz Amasya'da mıymış biliyor musunuz?
Oraya ben çok biz daha neyiz ki şeyimiz. Yok. Onları hatırlamıyoruz.
Ha, siz bilmiyorsunuz.
Yok. Yok.
Peki hiç böyle hikaye falan dinlediniz mi ailenizden o zaman?
Şimdi hikaye dinledik meselesi de onu şeyi almadan konuşacaksın. Öyle bir şey yoktur. Şeyi alıyorsa.
Despite the fact that Hrant Dink was shot right in front of his office, a new generation of young Armenians has taken up his legacy and continues to publish his newspaper Agos. We speak with Robert Koptas, who's now editor-in-chief. We want to understand how Armenians navigate Turkey's complicated politics.
How do you feel working at Agos? Or what's the mood at Agos now?
Çok büyük korku yaşadılar her şeyden önce. Büyük acı yaşadılar. Bu korkunun da geçtiğini söyleyemeyiz. Çünkü Hrant Dink'in ölmesine neden olan siyasi ortam belki artarak, yükselerek devam ediyor Türkiye'de ve hepimiz Türkiye'de yaşayan Ermeniler 2-3 sene öncesine nazaran şimdi daha çok tehdit altında hissediyoruz kendimizi.
To me, the word genocide seems to be the only word that would fit. But traveling around, it seems that some people here don't even recognize that events even happened at all. So should it be called a genocide?
Bence soykırım olarak o adlandırılmaması bir sorun yaratıyor gibi görünüyor. Yani Türklerle konuşmak anlamında bir sorun yaratıyor gibi görünüyor. Ama aslında ben öyle olmadığını düşünüyorum. Yani sorunun soykırım kelimesinde olmadığını düşünüyorum. Soykırım yerine başka bir kelime bulunsa ve şu şartlarda Türklere siz bunu kabul edin dense o da olmayacaktır. Ama evet yine de yani Ermenilerin aklına Türk dendiğinde ilk gelen şeyin soykırım olması bir sorun yaratıyor. Dolayısıyla yine daha önce söylediklerimi söyleyeceğim. Sorunun çözümü için soykırım kelimesini bir kenara bırakmaya gerek yok belki. Soykırım kelimesini kullanmaya devam edebilirsiniz. Ama aynı zamanda Türklerle konuşacak bir dil yaratmak zorundasınız. O kelimeyi içine alan ya da almayan. Konuşmayı denemedikçe o kelimeyi kullanıp kullanmadığınızın da çok önemi yok. Çünkü konuşamıyorsunuz.
I'm wondering about how you see us from the United States. I mean, how you see the Armenians still living in Turkey? I mean, what do you think? Or the other Armenians, not exactly you, it must
No,
be.
you know, it's funny. Not until recently, only in the last year or two, did I really realize how much of an Armenian population Turkey still has. I kind of always assumed that there was none, or that the ones who were still there weren't hiding. And I don't think that opinion was probably formed based on, the fear that's been passed down through my family that, why would anyone want to stay in Turkey? I think that's the general opinion of my parents and probably my grandparents.
So back to the point. What do American Armenians think about us?
I think I don't know that they have an opinion. I think that the general thought, though, is that they would never do that. Like, they would never live in Turkey themselves. And they probably don't understand why you would stay here. Unless you were siding with the Turks in some way.
Nishan sent Akhavni the remainder of the money for her family's passage to America. She and her children boarded a ship to France and then Providence, Rhode Island. They eventually settled in Watertown, Massachusetts. But instead of following my family's path to the United States, we fly to the neighboring Republic of Armenia, a former Soviet republic and now the center of modern Armenian culture. We want to see what some of the destroyed Armenian sites in Turkey might have looked like. The pit was where St. Gregory the Illuminator was held, as a prisoner, and for about 13 years. And the king's sister secretly passed him food so that he could stay alive. The king at one point came down with an illness, and it was said that St. Gregory had healing powers, so he came up and was able to heal the king, and eventually converted him to Christianity. And that's how Armenia became the first state that had Christianity as its religion in 301. Armenia lost and regained its independence multiple times over the next 1,000 years, and the current Republic of Armenia gained its independence after the fall of the Soviet Union. Having our own country again is a point of pride for all Armenians. However, Mount Ararat, one of the most sacred Armenian sites, sits across the closed and militarized border with Turkey. Carved into a mountain. It's built into the cave. So we can keep going through the caves. It's pretty cool. This is the room that's got amazing acoustics. In Yerevan, we learn that after the genocide, some Armenians from Amasya, Turkey, settled in Amasya in Armenia.
Իրանց պապերն են ապրել հին Ամասյայում։
Ամասյայում։
Հա, իրանց պապերը, տատերը, իրանք
Բայց
Ամերիկայից
որ թվին են պապերը ստեղ եղել։
Ստե չեն եղել, իրանք հին
Ամասյա, ընդեղ Ամասյա, են Ամասյան, հա։
Հիմա իրանց պետք է մի հատ ասենք մեծահասակ մարդ, ասենք ձեր տարիքի մարդ, որ ընդեղից եկած գաղթածներից են։
30 թվին եմ ստեղ ծնվել, մերոնք ընդից 28 թվին եկել են ստեղ, բայց որոշ ժանց պատմությունը գիտեմ։ Կողքի գյուղենը սվաղ է ձեղես, ուլիս եղե։ Իրեք թուրքի սալդատ գալիս գյուղը հավաքում են։ Գյուղը հավաքում են, տանում են մեծ ձորի մեջ։ Այդ ձորի մեջը դիավորնոր կողքից անցնում է, պլետնոր ֆռռտնում, այսպես փաթում է ճագատին։ Isik angnume meres. Meres angnume et javora zgomor isik birçe angirletsat. Çuverit il chikaragum. Hratrani gondugov. Spes kzatat çuverit zalgumi kalkun. Lukas spes patsume. Ora arun nelmes me ise. Merram. Toğum ansmen müsnerin jartmen. Miore manum ergorat besangad manume. Manalu cedum bes arten zartnume. Dismur. Esig manume hari gvapa hazip zori celnume. Dismur madam lus ereum. Turki göre. Ed lusin estume. Estume lusin. Estum hasme lusin. Dismur madam parafkanik. Turk angnate. Gidina dismur sahtim ka arun çortele demkin. Ha sahtim ka arun. Eskanika tanume nes jure talis takçur. Lavatsvume preznume pirme hatsetenum. Sme gir hatlav udume sme yer. Eskezi campa çuçkudam kana. Meronkur egans mi ham kezigistabanen hamansi. Yelumes mors campu edenum çuçe talis mi espes kana hay gyoka tersas ka handebis. Gişere halus vodo din mart geluch yavur. Erstum et gurmanume nur etterit. Hartnelo vano nur horskadum. Galisen lenagan Ksanin tiva manumen, ksanuti nur galisen. Minçevi ksanin tiva manumen lenagan. Is mezni taraç. Tasergutun egelen steh. Her simanum or edmartik stehen. Maisi jamanak maisi meca. Helnum galise smerstam yergraton tastesnim. Galise steh mit harazadnerim yergratik. Տեսնում է այդոնց այդ ծանոթանում է յանագն է լավ կարնան մայիսի ժաման ամիսների ասում է ես որպես էլ լենագը չեմ մնա կուկամ ստեղ երգրածոնցս քովը ընդից էստում ու վեշը պարնում գալիս է ստեղ այն վաղտվանից գալիս մնում է ստեղ Yerresuna ksana inne tavitsa mahatat. Niçe yerresuna inne. Yerresuna inne tavitsa. Esik imahtes. Sanki çes karşı veriyor. Mersi esik mersi. Yok yeri. Velmasar. Çurde ha yağana çurde.
Looking through books at the Genocide Museum, we find a book about Armenians from Amasya.
Wow. This work is unique also by the virtue of the fact that it is the first and only undertaking of its kind about Armenia and Amasya.
Yeah, that's exactly what we want.
That's amazing. Those houses look exactly the same. Wow, this looks just like the picture I took. This is Amasya. This is the river. That's the mountain. As best as I can tell, this is the exile out of Amasya. And that's the bridge. Here, looks like 1923.
This time your family's gone.
But yeah. That's Achafni. can't believe that. It's like straight out of the photo we have of her.
Unfortunately, the book with the photograph of Akhavni did not contain a picture of her husband Zorig, my great-grandfather. We still don't know what he looked like, and all we know about him is that he was a leather maker. Like so many Armenians, all other traces of him have been wiped away. We can never make up for this loss. The best we can do is continue to tell our stories, keep our history alive, and help ensure our past is not repeated.
Smile. That a boy, Eric.
These are the 8 grandchildren of Helen Shushan
Everybody.
on the occasion of the surprise 70th birthday party for her.
Are you ready?
Eric, have one final kiss for Gramps? Yeah. Go ahead. Oh, thank you.